The sun had barely peeked through the tall pines when little Emma wandered too close to the edge of the forest lake. A shimmer on the water caught her attention, a small ripple that seemed to dance in the early morning light. For a moment it looked peaceful, almost magical, but the ground beneath her feet was slick with dew, betraying the calm. Could a child really fall into such cold water unnoticed? And what would happen if the current was stronger than anyone expected? The answer came quickly as Emma lost her footing, plunging into the icy lake. The current immediately pulled her away from the shore, leaving only a splash and terrified cries echoing through the trees. Panic set in around her. Her father's shouts mingled with Emma's frightened gasps. Nearby hikers froze, unsure if they should run for help or jump in themselves. Every second stretched painfully long as the lake's surface rippled ominously, hiding the small, struggling figure beneath. Emma tried to paddle, her tiny arms flailing against the icy current. The cold bit into her skin, making her movements slower and heavier. She gasped for air, coughing as water splashed into her mouth, and the fear tightened its grip. It seemed hopeless, a terrifying instant where time itself had paused. Suddenly a shadow moved near the far edge of the lake. Something large, dark, and undeniably alive emerged from the trees. The air froze with tension. Could it be a deer? A lost hiker? No, the shape was unmistakable. A bear, massive yet calm, watching her struggle. The hikers screamed silently, unsure whether to run or intervene. Yet the bear did not charge. Instead, it waded into the shallow edge, its eyes fixed on Emma. The current, previously merciless, seemed to slow as the bear approached. Could it be helping her? Remarkably, yes, the animal positioned itself between Emma and the deeper water. Emma felt a strange sense of relief, her panic mixed with disbelief. The bear's presence was protective, almost intentional. It nudged her gently toward the shore with its snout, steadying her against the pull of the current. Every inch she gained felt surreal, as if reality itself had shifted. By the time Emma's father reached the edge, scooping her from the water, the bear had quietly retreated to the forest line. The child was trembling but safe, leaving everyone around stunned and speechless. No one could explain why the bear had acted this way, but one thing was clear. An ordinary morning had turned into something unforgettable. A low rumble echoed through the trees, subtle but deep, as if the forest itself was warning everyone. From the far shore, a massive shape emerged, its dark fur glinting wet under the morning sun. At first it was only a shadow moving steadily, but as it stepped closer, the true size of the bear became terrifyingly clear. Could such a large bear really be so close without noticing the humans? And would it see Emma as prey or simply another creature of the forest? The answers were immediate. Yes, the bear was fully aware of everyone's presence, yet its gaze seemed fixed on the struggling child rather than the panicked crowd. People froze, eyes wide, and hearts racing. Parents clutched their children. Hikers gripped their cameras and backpacks, unsure whether to flee or stand their ground. Every instinct screamed danger. The bear's size alone was enough to send a wave of fear rippling through the small group. The bear paused at the water's edge, sniffing the air. Its massive paws sank slightly into the mud, leaving deep imprints. A low growl resonated from its throat, not threatening, but warning. The tension was almost unbearable. One wrong move could trigger chaos. yet the animal seemed deliberate in its calm, deliberate approach. Emma, cold and exhausted, barely noticed the new presence. Her focus remained on fighting the current, each stroke a struggle. Yet the bear's approach subtly altered the water flow, slowing the pull that threatened to carry her into deeper, more dangerous parts of the lake. Could instinct alone guide a creature this large to act with such precision? Absolutely, nature often surprises in ways humans cannot fully grasp. The adults whispered in disbelief, unable to move. Was the bear coming closer to attack or somehow help? Observing carefully, they realized the animal's body language was protective. Its head lowered, eyes never leaving Emma, almost as if it recognized a fragile life in immediate danger. Slowly, the bear positioned itself strategically between Emma and the deeper waters. Every movement was calculated, measured, with a surprising gentleness that defied its size. Panic lingered, but curiosity began to mix in. This was no ordinary encounter, and everyone felt it. By now, the crowd was frozen in a mixture of awe and fear. The bear had stopped mere feet from the child, its presence a silent barrier against the lake's currents. No one dared approach, yet everyone understood one undeniable truth. The bear had appeared for a reason, and that reason was about to change the outcome of a desperate situation. The bear shifted its massive weight, each step deliberate, as it entered the shallows where Emma struggled. Its dark fur glistened with droplets of water, and every movement seemed strangely intentional. For a moment, everyone around could only hold their breath, unsure if the bear would attack or simply pass by. Could a bear really understand the danger of a human child? And how could it know exactly where to position itself? The answer became chillingly clear as the bear waded closer, its massive frame blocking the current that tugged at Emma, acting almost like a living barrier. Emma's arms flailed as icy water splashed around her. Her small body shivered violently, but the bear moved beside her, its broad shoulders steadying the water. Every instinct screamed danger, yet the bear's focus never wavered from the child, its movements precise and careful. Onlookers gasped, some stepping back, others frozen in place. Emma's father shouted her name, but even he could not step forward. The bear had taken control of the situation, acting in a way no one could have predicted. Its snout nudged gently against her, guiding her toward the safer, shallower part of the lake. The current, once threatening, now seemed less aggressive. The bear's presence redirected the flow, a natural shield against the icy pull. Emma blinked through tears, confusion and fear mingling, as she realized she was no longer alone. Her struggle had not gone unnoticed, and a massive wild protector had appeared. The crowd watched in disbelief. Cameras, phones, and eyes captured the scene, each second more surreal than the last. The bear's protective stance allowed Emma to regain some strength, her strokes more controlled, her panic slowly giving way to astonishment. Every movement the bear made was careful, almost tender, as if it knew the child's fragility. It did not rush, did not roar, did not show aggression. Instead, it simply positioned itself so Emma could fight the current without being swept away, a silent guardian against the lake's cold, relentless pull. By the time Emma's feet touched the slightly shallower ground, she was exhausted but safe. The bear lingered for a heartbeat, its dark eyes watching her, almost ensuring she could stand. Then, with a slow, deliberate turn, it began moving back toward the deeper forest. leaving behind a scene that no one would ever forget. Emma's father lunged forward, splashing through the shallow water, his heart pounding as he reached for her small, trembling arms. Other adults followed, some holding their children. Could they really trust the bear not to lash out? And what had caused it to act in such a protective way? The answers became visible as the bear held its position, almost inviting the adults to approach, its gaze steady and calm, far from any hint of aggression. Emma's father finally scooped her up, wrapping her arms around his neck. Relief flooded through him, his breath ragged as he held her close. Her wet hair clung to her face, and she shivered violently, but the protective presence of the bear made her feel an impossible kind of safety. Hikers and onlookers raised their cameras and phones, capturing the incredible moment. The bear's massive figure, standing like a guardian at the water's edge, was surreal against the backdrop of the shimmering lake. Every shutter click seemed to echo astonishment through the crowd. Emma's mother cried quietly, rushing forward to hug her daughter. The mixture of fear and relief twisted through everyone near the lake. The bear, massive and wild, had displayed a level of awareness and gentleness that left even seasoned forest rangers stunned. Voices whispered, some in awe, others in disbelief. "Did it really just do that?" one hiker murmured, eyes wide. "I've never seen anything like this," another replied, still holding her camera tightly. Each witness processed the moment differently, but the emotion was universal. Even as the bear lingered for a few more moments, observing the humans from the edge, no one dared approach it. Respect mingled with fascination, everyone aware that this encounter was rare, dangerous, yet undeniably miraculous in its timing and execution. Emma's father held her close, watching the bear retreat slowly toward the forest line. Every muscle in his body tensed and relaxed at once, a mixture of awe, gratitude, and disbelief. Around them, the lake seemed. Emma's father carried her toward the shore, water dripping from her small frame, while her mother rushed forward, tears streaming down her face. The crowd moved back, giving space, their eyes fixed on the bear that had changed the outcome of the morning entirely. Could a wild animal act with such awareness and care? And would anyone ever understand why it chose this moment to intervene? The answer seemed impossible to explain, yet the bear's actions had clearly bought the precious seconds needed for Emma's rescue. Shivering and exhausted, Emma clung to her parents, her lips trembling as she whispered her relief. Every gasp of breath seemed amplified by the awe around her. The bear remained still for a heartbeat longer, its massive eyes watching the family, ensuring the child was safe. Photographers and witnesses recorded every detail, unable to capture the full depth of emotion in a single frame. The bear's figure, silhouetted against the lake and morning sun, seemed both enormous and gentle, an unlikely hero in a story no one could have imagined. The bear slowly turned, stepping back into the forest line, its heavy paws leaving deep impressions in the muddy shore. It paused once, glanced toward Emma, and then melted silently into the trees, leaving behind a stunned audience and a child who had been spared from danger. Emma's parents hugged her tightly, their relief palpable. "Thank you," her father whispered, not to the bear, but aloud to the world, grateful for the miracle that had occurred. Around them, onlookers murmured, still processing the blend of fear, wonder, and joy they had witnessed. Emma looked toward the forest, her small hand pointing where the bear had vanished. She whispered half in disbelief, It saved me." Her parents smiled through tears, understanding that the moment would stay with them forever, a story of nature's unexpected compassion. As the sun climbed higher, the lake returned quiet ripples, but the memory of the bear's actions lingered. Every person present felt it, the raw power of nature paired with an instinctive gentleness, a reminder that sometimes, even in wild unpredictability, protection can come from the most unlikely places. If you loved witnessing Emma's incredible rescue and the bear's surprising kindness, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing real-life animal stories that will leave you speechless.